We're here to celebrate not just our joy, but the community's joy, to look back and to see how much harvest has been produced by this little patch of garden, Plano, and the wider Collin County area. This evening we're going to focus on 3 of the many stories that we could have told, where we have an opportunity to see how seeds were planted many years ago. And now we have the blessing to be able to look back and see what those seeds have produced.
We knew that Plano was going to be where we were going to drop our anchor. I decided that I was going to want to come in and meet Rabbi Block and see what the shul was all about.
The Rovinsky family, Kyle and Karen, they epitomize for us the theme of planting seeds. Before they even had children, they were thinking of buying a house where they would be able to bring their children that were going to be gifted to them to a place, to a synagogue.
When we first found out that I was pregnant, we were very excited. We basically got the news, congratulations, but. And that but was, there are 3 heartbeats.
And they were all born as preemies. You can hold them in your hand. And we got very close then. I would go visit the kids every Friday.
Rabbi Block never missed a Shabbos. Every Friday, he would be in the NICU with Karen and me and the boys, and he would say blessings. And
I remember Rivki coming by, one of the first visitors that I saw within 24 hours of the boys being born.
It also was a source of encouragement for Kyle and Karen themselves, who were going through a very difficult time, to know that they're not alone.
It was, the number one priority is I want to give my kids to God. I want to make sure they know what it means to be Jewish, and I want them to be in an environment where they're excited about going to shul. It's exactly what we hoped for. Chabad is exactly what we hoped for.
I want them to be able to enjoy all aspects of their Jewish identity. So services, ritual, prayers, but then also community and friends and relationships.
We take part in Kid Shul, Bar Mitzvah Club, and Tefillin Club.
I think that what is so inspiring about the Rovinskys is that they really demonstrate this understanding that they are raising their children with an obligation to the future and a responsibility to the past.
Volunteer work is very important.
The way I think I can help the generations to come, to help donate money to get a new Torah.
Once I go into high school, I could help with Kid Shul.
Like I said, it's exactly the way we wanted our children to grow up around the Torah. It's a blessing that Richard and Bobby Massman are so philanthropic minded. Richard's organizing of the donation of Hiram's house, Meyer's house, and Leo's kitchen was to give them an anchor into this community.
They're not just raising these Jewish children for themselves, but they understand that there is a history that came before and that will continue. And that is the link, that they are all links in the chain of tradition.
We hope that it's going to be a situation that years and years and years from now, Karen and I will be coming here, Hiram, Leo, and Meyer will be coming here with their wives and their kids, and it's going to grow and strengthen the Chabad community for generations to come.
For my husband and me, Chabad always felt like that related more to your identity, more like to your roots.
The Albert and Dahlia, Refoua, and the story of their 3 children, and with the special emphasis on Aaron. It's a beautiful story to tell because it demonstrates the importance of opening up many doors for people to walk through.
We chose Plano because we thought that we were thinking about the school for the kids, and then we were thinking about more as they grow to put them like in a Jewish environment.
Aaron started with us in the Hebrew school, and they walked in that door.
Remember having a lot of fun, always looking forward to Hebrew school, whether that was in the morning singing songs and saying the prayers, and then going to different classes, learning a bunch about different, learning different topics, and really ultimately building these relationships with other people and making friends.
And then a year or two later, they walked in the door of the day camp.
The camp did a really good job at putting on these events and just having a nice structure for the day.
And then they walked in the door of the synagogue and had a bar mitzvah for Aaron in the Chabad of Plano. And as he was growing up, our children were growing up. And our oldest son, Eli, grew up together with Aaron.
We were in camp together, Camp Ganizi, and around the synagogue every Shabbat.
The relationship was really about us hanging out, being together, and having fun, I'd say.
But then they went separate ways. Aaron seeking his career, Eli becoming a rabbi and developing his connection to God. And when Eli came back to me and said, I'd really like to come back to Plano. Is there something that I can do here? And I said to him, what would you like to do? What are you interested in doing? He says, I'd like to do young Jewish professionals.
Jews today don't want to be in the synagogue like their parents were, their grandparents were.
And a light went off in my head. It's a door we never opened before.
What we and many other couples are starting to build out in Jewish communities is a home for young Jewish adults post-college where they can connect with their Jewish identity and learn about it and practice it and live it passionately in a day-to-day life without the confines of the synagogue.
My fiance Michelle and I were looking to become more involved in a Jewish community, and it was just perfect timing and really a great fit for us.
And his young childhood friend, his friend is going to be the rabbi that's going to marry him.
I never would have thought as a kid that he would be the person who would ultimately conduct my wedding. It's special, it's unreal, it makes you think, how relationships can evolve and what they can ultimately become.
So it's really truly a fitting story for the tending of the garden and watching a child grow through the different doors of Chabad, and once again, something that we could never imagine that could happen. The story of Ben Shechter is a true testament to what the Rebbe taught us. He taught us to never give up on the light of God that's shining in the soul of every Jew.
My husband grew up in an Orthodox home. He was used to having 2 Seders every year, and we moved here. We were invited to the Block's house, and it became a tradition. Every year, I think for 18 years, my husband and I, my kids, went to the Block's Seder. So as my children got older and became adults, everyone was trying to figure out their way in life, their path. And I think Ben went through a period where he just wasn't sure. Sold everything he had, traveled the world to try and figure out who he was, what he wanted. He went many places in the world and had lots of different approaches to life and the different places he went.
I wanted to see the beauty of the world. I didn't know it was the beauty of God's world at that time, but I wanted to see, other cultures and other places and other experiences, because the life that I was being sold, the life that I was, being given, it didn't quite quench my thirst in terms of what's out there.
In his teens and in his early 20s, he was really seeking out inspiration, some kind of spirituality in another faith. And we get a chance to see how the seeds that were planted within his heart and soul, almost subconsciously, ultimately those seeds began to sprout.
I was in India, and I was in a little town of India called Rishikesh. And on this little shack that looks like it's about to fall over, there's a big picture. And it said Beit Chabad, and there was a big picture of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, big face of the Rebbe. Now, I wasn't a Lubavitcher yet. I didn't even really know what that was. But of all things, what did I do? I was a good traveler. I took out my camera, I took a picture, and I kept walking. So as I'm walking, I start thinking to myself, one day I'm going to show my father these pictures. And he's going to ask me if I went in. And I'm going to say no. Like, I can't tell him I didn't go, so I have to go in. And whatever, it was wonderful. I started hanging out with the Chabad, and here all of a sudden I was home. I didn't have to look. I just felt comfortable. I felt at home. I felt, this is where I belong.
What he remembered was the warmth of a Seder table in our home.
At one of the Chabad in India, he found one book in English in this whole library of Hebrew that was letters to a Buddhist Jew.
And I looked at this book, and I looked around, and I said, you're talking to me? Where did this come from? I don't know. So I picked it up, and I started reading. So I read this book, and it was unbelievable. What happened is I saw Torah, I saw Judaism as something I never saw before. I decided, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what all this means, but I have to know more. I can't leave this hanging. Something is here that I've been missing. Something is here that needs to be explored.
Ben turned around to his parents after that Friday night that he spent with Chabad. He said, I'm coming home. I'm finished wandering. I know where I'm going. Came into my office, he said, Rabbi Block, send me to yeshiva. And he went off to Israel within a week. And he really didn't come back until he was completely transformed.
Chabad for me has opened that insight, like I've never seen it before. And that's what I've seen in my son also, as we recently came back from a trip to see him in Israel. If they allow a little crack to get Chabad into their life, it's like a fire that gets started. It's hard to turn it off once it gets started.
And so it's an incredible story of what the Rebbe tried to instill in all of us. Move out somewhere. Till, nurture, fan the spark that's in the soul of every Jew. Give thanks to Hashem, for He is good, for His kindness is everlasting. Rivki and I are grateful to God by divine providence leading us to this wonderful garden of Plano, Texas. And yes, it is true, over the course of the 30 years, thousands of men, women, and children have come through these doors for our activities, our programs, and our services. However, the Mishnah teaches us, Ben Shloshim Lekoach, when you turn 30, you come into your full strength. At the age of 30 of the Chabad, here in Plano, we have to build on the foundation and the experiences of the past 30 years to yet grow even stronger, to expand both the footprint, the reach, and the activities of the Chabad. And may our collective efforts of all of us worldwide to strengthen Torah mitzvot in this world, may it merit for us the coming of the redemption through Mashiach. Let us say Amen, and let us say Mazel Tov to us all.